is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Black Hawks. We are Florida.
When is a home run not a home run? Well, once in a blue moon in baseball. Last night, JT Realmuto went deep, but Marcell Ozuna went back. And the mix-up cost JT a dinger and the Fish a run. No worries. Derek Dietrich was still hitting. He had 3 hits last night, and this, well, still not a homer. Tonight, the Fish go for 2 straight, and Adam Conley gets busy with the Brewers after his near no-hitter in Milwaukee. It's Brewers and Marlins coming up. The terrific weather continues in Miami, and that means roof open, game on. Brewers and Marlins, game 2, 3 games set. Fish a 4-1 win last night. Derek Dietrich, big night, that wild ride around the bases. Zach Davies, this is a rematch. Davies and Adam Conley. A rematch in the booth as well. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Preston Wilson. The trends are looking good for Miami coming into this ball game. They've won 12 of their last 15, and they're 5-2 with the win last night on this homestand.
Well, talk about trends. You got to start with talking about what the Marlins have needed, and that's starting pitching to go deep in the ball games. Great outing the other night by Kohler. Last night, Jose Fernandez got into the 7th. That's what they need to see to save this bullpen that has been stellar so far this year.
The headlines read, Adam Conley yanked from a no-hitter, and a lot of people around the nation said, Adam who? And they started to look at Adam Conley. But you know what? You go back to August of last year, this kid has been pitching that way ever since.
This is a lefty with a kind of sidearm slinging delivery a la Chris Sale that has 94, 95 of velocity. He's learning a good breaking ball. He's aggressive, he works quickly, and he throws strikes.
And 116 pitches before he was lifted with 2 outs in the 8th. So Conley, a rematch against the Brewers, and Conley did not give up a start in his last start after that Brewers start. Zach Davies also pitched in that ball game, and the Marlins got to him, in particular, one big, strong first baseman. Now, last year, Preston, he pitched in this building and got his first Major League win.
Well, Zach Davies is one of those guys that can get it going if he's hitting his spots. He's a change speeds kind of guy. He's got to work the edge of the strike zone, but when he's in the middle, he's very hittable.
Very hittable. The Marlins hope that continues here tonight. It's emails and tweets, kids. Email and Twitter Tuesday. Bring them on. Preston's all decked out, ready to go. Marlins Park, one of the subjects tonight. Favorite features. Oh, come on. That was too easy, wasn't it? of Miami Marlins baseball. Look at the blue sky above Marlins Park. Brewers and Fish. Emails and tweets on a Tuesday, and it's driven by Ford. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Well, Rich, as you know, one of the things that we love to do when we're on the road is highlight visitor ballparks, but we've got a beautiful ballpark right here in Miami. So tonight, it is all about Marlins Park. I'm going to be taking you on a tour of the ballpark and showing you some of the features that makes Marlins Park unique. And speaking of Marlins Park, that is also the theme for tonight's Twitter and Email Tuesday, driven by Ford. We want you to use the hashtag Marlins Park on all of your tweets and emails. Send your tweets to @FoxMarlins. Those emails can go to foxmarlins@gmail.com. Tell us, what do you love about Marlins Park? Send us your best pictures from coming to games here, and you could see yourself in the broadcast. Just don't forget, use that hashtag Marlins Park. Rich?
Thank you, Jess. Preston has already taken selfies with that in mind, and Adam Conley with a towel on his shoulder, an eye on the Brewers, gets the ball, and the Fish try to make it 2 in a row against Milwaukee. On an Email Twitter Tuesday, Adam Conley is on the hill. Florida, brought to you by the all-new 2017 Chrysler Pacifica. By the Florida Department of Transportation, reminding you, drive sober or get pulled over. By your local Toyota dealers, let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Adam Conley and the Fish set to take on the Milwaukee Brewers. Conley's not given up a run in his last 2 starts. And here's Milwaukee's lineup, brought to you by UHealth Sports Medicine.
The Brewers are sending out Jonathan Villar, Hernan Perez, Ryan Braun, Jonathan Lucroy. Chris Carter's hitting 5th. Aaron Hill, Alex Presley, Ramon Flores, and Zach Davies are your Brew Crew.
And so Conley finishing his warm-up tosses, the 25-year-old from Olympia, Washington, born in Redmond, Washington. And his numbers very impressive. Start number 7, just 23 hits in 32 1/3, 13 walks. And he'll have this defense behind him. It's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Terrific outfield, Yelich, Ozuna, and Stanton. Prado and Bohr on the corners. Adeiny Echeverria, Derek Dietrich up the middle, and JT Realmuto behind the plates. Here's the weather, kids. 80 degrees, humidity's just fine. There is some wind coming in from the east. Windows open, roof open, downtown Miami basking in sunlight. And Adam Conley delivers a fastball for a strike to Jonathan Villar, the shortstop of the Brewers. Hernan Perez and Ryan Braun will follow. 4-1 win last night for the Fish. And a terrific outing for Jose Fernandez. 7 innings from Fernandez. Marlins would love that from Conley here tonight. At 91 with that fastball. That's 1-2. Villar last night had a pair of hits.
Yes, he did. I like his attack last night. He really just tried to go with the pitch that first at bat against Jose Fernandez. Good hands out there in middle infield. The Brewers have a bright future with some of these athletes that they have. You could see it. They're young. They're going to make some mistakes, but they're a talented group of young guys.
2-2 into center, and the Brewers have done something they were unable to do against Conley up in Milwaukee, and that's get a hit. They do it right away. Villar with a single. Here comes Perez.
A fastball, a little bit more up than Conley wanted it, but it got in a little bit. He didn't really hit it hard. He just got jammed and dumped it out there in front of Marcell Ozuna. Not bad for a start.
Villar can run. He swiped his 9th base of the season last night. He's only been caught 3 times. Perez did not start last night, though he did have a role in the game. Time is called. When Marcell Ozuna was racing back to first and JT Realmuto was watching the ball leave the park and then passed by Ozuna, Perez was the first Brewer to spot that right on the rail in the Brewers dugout. Liner to right, well hit. Stanton in, back, reaches, and has it.
Well, there it is, that early attack. He saw something he liked. Fastball up in his zone, and they're hacking early. They do not want to get deep in the count on a guy like Conley who pitched so well against him last time. Take a look at this. See, Stanton got fooled a little bit, but he got back up there using the old wide out skills, going up and getting it at the highest point.
Well, here's Braun now. Ryan Braun has hit in 9 straight, and if you watch Marlins live, you know that in Miami his hit streak at 21. 363. He's top 10 in average, in on base, and in slugging.
Tonight's going to be a little different. The Brewers were trying to be a lot more aggressive on the bases last night. I think they had something on Jose Fernandez. Maybe it was something in his setup when he came set. He did something different because they were taking off before he even went home last night.
Braun takes a strike. In that ball game in Milwaukee 2 weeks ago against Conley, Braun was 0 for 2. He bounced out, walked, and struck out, but you saw the overall numbers, 4 for 7. I like the a little bit of a throwback look by the Brewers. I like the ball in the glove, the MB logo, reminiscent of the Robin Yount, Paul Molitor days. Runner goes, good jump, and a stolen base. And Villar started and then stopped. Dietrich found the baseball. And the Brewers, with 1 out, have a runner in scoring position.
Again, aggressive tonight. He went on first move, read it well, beat the throw. Kid's got some tools. He handles the bat pretty well. Good hands out there at shortstop. Good base running.
Braun into center field. That's a hit. Ozuna got a great jump. Villar route third coming home. Ozuna's throw is offline, and the Brewers are on the board.
Oh, I would love to have seen this throw on line. This would have been a close play because Villar kind of did a 360 at second base when this ball was hit. He spun around to look. That tells me he didn't know where Ozuna was playing when this ball was hit. He should have made this a lot easier, but unfortunately, the throw was offline. Ball's up in the zone again. We've said Conley was up. We said they're going to attack early. See that little spin move there at second? Ozuna didn't quite get his body synchronized, get that whole front side close to first base, to a home plate, and he ends up pulling off that little spin move. That shouldn't happen. You should know off the bat that that ball is a base hit. But again, that's youth. He'll get better with it. Kid's got a lot of tools, though.
Jonathan Lucroy now with Braun at first. And Lucroy hits it high in the air, shallow left center. And Ozuna makes the catch. And there's 2 outs. All right, location on Ryan Braun's hit.
Well, look where the catcher's sitting down in the zone, right around knee high. And that's where you wanted to spot, try to get yourself a ground ball, keep this ball in infield. But it ends up being belt high, and Ryan Braun does not miss those. He's a good high ball hitter. He's a good hitter, period. But when you get it up there, he's going to make you pay.
And outstanding with runners in scoring position. Braun right now 5th in the National League. Over 450. And here's Chris Carter. Carter an 0 for 3 last night. Jose Fernandez punched out 11 in the ball game. Good changeup. It's 0-2.
3 out of the first 5 batters have swung at the first pitch tonight. So that tells you they're looking to be aggressive. Carter swung early there. Lucroy swung early. These guys are looking to hack right out of the box.
Braun will steal a bag if you sleep on him.
Oh, he's been a 20, 30 base stealing guy in the past. He doesn't run as much anymore, but he's got that knowledge and speed to still do it.
He was just over 20 last year. Conley misses here. 1-2 the count with 2 outs. Brewers have a run, a couple singles. Stolen base was key. Craig Counsell showing last night that he will be aggressive and creative, trying to get runs. And that back foot breaking ball just missed the back foot. Count 2-2. Milwaukee's record at 13-19, and remember the Brewers are in full rebuild mode, though they still have in the middle of their lineup guys that have played there and produced in Braun and Lucroy. Busted bat at Chavarria. Little flip in time to get the out, but Milwaukee's on the board. Miami tries to answer when we return. Tonight, Derek Dietrich leads the way for Miami. And the lineup brought to you by UHealth Sports Medicine.
Here come the fish. Derek Dietrich's leading off. Martin Prado's batting second. Christian Yelich is third. Giancarlo Stanton is hitting fourth. Justin Bour fifth. Marcell Ozuna sixth. In the seventh hole is JT Realmuto. Eighth is Adeiny Hechavarria. And ninth is the left-handed slinger Adam Conley.
Zach Davies, start number 5. Davies out of Mesquite, Arizona. And here's Dietrich digging in. Good memories for Davies here. His first Major League win was on this mound in September 7th of last year. Dietrich takes in. Martin Prado, Christian Yelich will follow. There's the road start, the only one for Davies. That was in Pittsburgh, and it did not last long. Mike DeMuro calling balls and strikes. Ryan Blackney, Brian Gorman, Mark Carlson on the bases. 3-hit game last night for Dietrich. That's down low as well. Davies trying to get that at the knees. Not real big. 6 feet tall, 155 pounds. Dietrich clubs it on a line, and Presley makes the catch out in right field. My goodness, that was a seam. Defensively, the Racing Sausages. Happy to see the Brewers here. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Braun, Ramon Flores, and Presley in right. Hernan Perez, Chris Carter on the corners. Aaron Hill mans second base. Jonathan Villar at short. And Jonathan Lucroy is behind home plate. Martin Prado, 2 more hits last night for Prado. And at 396, Prado open play, just 2 ticks behind Daniel Murphy of the Nationals for that top hitter spot in the National League. Yeah, and you have to be careful around batting practice when Prado comes up to take his cuts. He's a very polite guy, so he says hi to everybody. And if you stick your hand out, he'll shake your hand, and you'll get a big glob of that pine tar that he gets on his jersey, on his helmet, on his bat. There it is. You see that on the shoulder. Pitch is out. It's 2-2.
It's like when you go to the water parks or the animal parks and you go and see the sea lions. If you want to sit up close to the show, you might get a little bit of entertainment on you. So that's what happens when you get that close to batting practice with him.
That is sticky entertainment. And here's the 2-2. Smacked into left field. And Prado has a hit.
He is dropping some head right now, boy. Oh, this is nasty. He gets this change up, and he just stays on it and drops the barrel and laces it out in the left. He looks so good in the box right now. Look at that, the balanced extension through the baseball. There's nothing wasted. Oh, that's a thing of beauty to watch. If I wasn't so happy for him, I'd be jealous.
Here now is Yelich. And Christian takes a strike. Now in that game, in which it was Conley versus Davies, Yelich did not fare that well against Davies. He struck out twice against him. Justin Bour had the big bat, 3-run homer and an RBI double. Change-up and curveball, if he spots his fastball, can be effective. Prado back in. We will get to the emails and the tweets in a moment. Always want to get the airship off the ground before we bring everybody in, but some good questions already. Yelich sitting on a 2-1 pitch here. Christian 0 for 2 last night, but 2 more walks, and that keeps him in the top 3 in on base in National League play. A .447 on base percentage. Dexter Fowler and Brandon Belt just in front of him. Slow tapper up the line, and Carter gets to the bag and steps on it, and here comes Stanton, and we'll see how the Brewers, with first base open, will approach it.
This kid really mixes it up well. He does a good job on Yelich, staying on both sides of the plate, changing speeds on both sides of the plate. He actually reminds me of Mike Maddox instead of Greg Maddox. That's who he kind of reminds me of. A little bit more slightly built, but the same type of repertoire, same type of idea of pitching.
Now Giancarlo Stanton, 0 for 4 last night with 3 strikeouts. First pitch is out. Alfie has the first tweet of the night. The Stanton homer the other night that hit the back wall was impressive, but has anyone hit one out of the park and through the windows? I've seen it done, but it was long before the ballpark was open. There was a day where the Marlins came down here and took batting practice during the construction, and Stanton hit one that went through where the windows are now. Pretty much straight away left, and it left the yard. And the only folks that saw it were a few members of the media and the construction workers, and they all stopped when the Marlins were taking batting practice. Anthony Ramirez was down there, Stanton was down there, and Stanton absolutely crushed one that left Marlins Park. But in a game, no. And then Stanton walks. The Brewers had no interest in pitching to him, which is understandable. Although Davies looking over his shoulder, and I'm sure he knew it, Justin Bour, the guy that homered and doubled against him, is coming to the plate. One for 3 last night. This was Bour last week in Milwaukee.
It's always nice when you face a guy that you feel like you swing the bat well against. Look at him go down and get that pitch, just golfs it out of the ballpark. Big fella, when he gets extended, he can do some serious damage.
He's 3 for 5, a homer and 4 RBIs in his career against Davies. The ball he hit out was a changeup, and then he drilled a double in the gap in left center field on a fastball.
This pitch right here is going to tell me how Davies feels about facing Justin Bour. Talked about the history, him taking him deep before. Started him off with a fastball in, then he went changeup. This 2-0 pitch is going to tell you exactly how much he fears him or what he thinks about him.
It's a strike.
Went fastball, tried to keep it middle away. Great spot. See, that's a guy I remember in this situation. Sometimes at 2 outs, they might try to trick you with a changeup, especially the big guy. But because Bour took that pitch deep before, I think he was more reluctant and just went with the fastball there.
Liner to left and well hit, and Braun is there, and he makes the catch. Well, the Marlins scalded 2-line drives, 1 to right, 1 to left, and they lead 2. 1-0 Milwaukee.
Randall Toyota.
Emails and tweets tonight on a Tuesday. Aaron Hill is up. Adam Conley delivers inside. The Brewers got a run against Conley on 2 hits in the first. Hill, Presley, and Flores. The order for the second. Emails and tweets. Tony has an email. The old-fashioned way. That's how it was when we started this thing in 2006. Into left. And the Brewers have 3 hits against Adam Conley. All right, Tony has this. I'm not sure how Preston can pin any blame on JT Realmuto for what happened at first base. Out of the 3 people involved, Ozuna, Realmuto, and Perry Hill, the first base coach, Realmuto was the least at fault, and he feels that Perry Hill was the most at fault. Actually, Perry Hill owned it after the game. Hill, if you, Tony, read the game stories in the Miami Herald or the Sun Sentinel, we'll read Perry Hill saying, hey, that's my fault. I was as surprised as anybody. I should have been on it, and you can blame me. So there you go.
I need you guys to think about this like a car accident. No matter what, the person that runs into the person from behind is at fault. And I understand that there was a home run, and that's great, but
up the middle into center field, Alex Presley has a hit.
Your responsibility as the trail base runner is to not overtake the base runners ahead of you. Yes, there was a home run. Maybe you feel Ozuna could have did something different on that play, but he has the right to that space until he vacates it. It's your job to wait until he's done, no matter what the circumstances are. So in the purest form, yes, JT Realmuto is at fault for that base running.
All right, well, let's forget about purist form. Let's go with practical form. I think there's probably blame spread around, like Tony pointed out, but in order of blame, if you ask Perry Hill, Perry would put himself at the top. If you're going with the car accident scenario, then you're probably going to call Realmuto's insurance company, right?
Well, you know, and I use the car analogy, but it is the rule in baseball. If you overtake the runner ahead of you, it's your fault. But there was enough blame to go around.
Ozuna actually owned it as well. Ozuna felt it was his fault, that he was at fault because he did not have a clear view of whether it was going to be caught or not, and figured it was, and then turned his back on the play, which meant if it was dropped or hit the wall or went out, he wouldn't have seen it at that point.
I think Ozuna definitely should have stayed with the baseball a little bit longer, kept his eyes on it a little bit longer. I understand he was trying to make a baseball play by, if that ball was caught, he could get in scoring position with 2 outs for his ball club and be able to score on a knock. And Perry Hill as well has got to be heads up and not just watch that home run, but also watch those base runners.
3-1 to Flores is a strike. And it's 3-2. And Adam Conley finds himself in a bit of a jam here. He's already given up 1 run. Hill and Presley with hits. Flores in the 8th spot with the pitcher Davies on deck. And so walking him would obviously be a huge mistake. Conley has not walked anyone, hasn't struck anyone out. Realmuto asked for time, and he's on his way out to the mound.
The only difference I see in Conley tonight, as opposed to the last time he faced Milwaukee, was he's just more up in the zone. These pitches have been up in the zone. They've been getting hit hard, and even the ones that haven't been getting hit hard have fallen in because they're up in the zone. So he's jammed a few guys, but it's fallen in because it's not the right height in the strike zone.
Three-two. Lil Tapper up the line. Conley bare hands, wheels, throws, and gets the out. And so there's 1 out, but Davies is up with runners at second and third. You can join the Fish family today with a season ticket plan that starts at just $6 a game. Half season plans, 3 great 20-game mini plans as well. They all include entry into the Fish family loyalty program and guarantee access to the 2017 All-Star game at Marlins Park. Go to marlins.com/season tickets. This a big at bat Infield creeps in. Conley needs, there's a bunt, first base side. Runner charging after the bunt. Though a safety squeeze with Hill coming down. And it's 0-1. If Conley can get this out without runners advancing, then all he needs to do is get VR, and he's out of it.
Davies has to make Martin Prado field this ball, because if he doesn't, Prado can basically be used as a pin to hold the base runner at third, because the base runner at third has to stay as close to the bag as Prado will let him. You know, he can't wander off just because he's over there and there's not a play on. He's got to respect how close Prado is to him.
See if Davies squares again. He does. Hill not coming down the line. And it's 1-1. I mean, this bunt has to be perfect for Hill to head towards the plate. Or at least really, really good. Maybe not perfect.
And I like the fact that Justin Bour is way in here. That takes a lot of the responsibility out. Conley's responsibility is going to be third base line.
Well, and the dynamics here too, you've got Conley, a lefty pitcher who falls off towards the third base line. The problem is, though, Preston, if he has to field and wheel and throw to the plate, that's a real awkward play for a lefty.
It is, but he's pretty athletic, so I would think he might be able to underhand it, kind of get it over there somehow, or like a backhand shuttle pass like that. I think he can do that. I've seen him move around. He's pretty good.
1-2, and Davies takes in. Well, the Brewers, you wonder at 2-2 if they'd have him bunt again. He is 1 for 18 in his short major league career.
I'd like a high fastball here.
It's 3-2.
And I say high fastball because when you're trying to bunt, your number one job as a bunter is to get the barrel above the baseball. And guys have a tendency to jab at the ball when it's a little bit up, and they might pop it up. That's a good save right there by JT Realmuto to get that ball.
3-2. Got him. So Conley gets his strikeout. Now he has to set his sights on VR to escape the inning.
That ball looked like it cut a little bit. That one and the one right before that. I don't know whether he got around it a good little bit, but that ball is a fastball, and it's just biting and diving in on that third base side. I'm not sure if I don't know if he did it intentionally, but that ball had a little cut on it.
Now VR, who has looked good at the plate in this series, he's 3 for 5. Singled, stole a bag, scored a run in the first. Conley gets a strike.
Now that's more of the breaking ball that he wants to get in under there. But those last two fastballs before that moved like that pitch, and they were 8-9 miles an hour harder.
Austin wants to know, Preston, if the Brewers are being aggressive and swinging early, especially at first pitch, how do you counter that?
You counter it maybe by throwing some get-me-over breaking balls first pitch to get him off that first pitch fastball, and just throwing quality strikes. You know, if just because they're swinging early, as they are right here, doesn't mean they're going to get good results, but you have to make better pitches than Conley's made.
That's a nice escape by Adam Conley. More emails and tweets when we get back. Brewers are up 1-0. On Top Bottom 2 is copyrighted telecast presented by the Authority of the Marlins. May not be reproduced or retransmitted, even in selfie form, without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Although Preston Wilson very good at selfies. He actually tweeted a selfie. Look at the getup there they've got on that table in the Cleveland.
Yeah, this is cocktail hour right now.
Grey Goose, cranberry, orange
Got
juice.
some tonic on the table.
Ozuna heading that direction into the corner, and it lands on the track, bounces off the wall, and Marcell Ozuna got a breaking ball he liked, and he opens up the Marlins second with a double.
You know, this ball was so, he actually thought it might have gotten caught because it did hang up a little while. You see him almost got it done. Don't get your feet together, and gets first base. That's a rough feeling when you hit a ball and you feel like he might get it because he hit it off the end of the bat, didn't quite get it good. And he's like, oh man, this guy can run out there in left field. Please stay up, ball, stay up. Oh.
You know, there's another theory. I think as he approached first, he was looking for Real Muto. Sorry, it was
it was on a tee, Rich.
it was a layup. Here is Real Muto. Fastball misses outside to JT. You know, Real Muto was great after the game. He said, look, no bad blood. Mistakes happen because it did cost him a home run. Ozuna felt awful after the game. You could almost see it in his face throughout the night after it happened. And Perry Hill felt badly about it as well. The good news is Miami won the game. Real Muto bangs that right center field, hits it well. Flores won't get it. Going to the wall. Ozuna scores, and Real Muto has tied the game.
Great job of hit right there. He drives this ball very well, gets through it, and makes him pay for this bad pitch. Check out JT Real Muto. We saw him hit the ball hard last night. Look at this stroke. Fastball, middle, up, and he sends it middle and up and out over the center fielder's head. Great base running, Marcell Ozuna. Make sure he sees that ball down before he takes off. Watch this. Make sure he sees it down, sees it down. Okay, I know I'm going to score anyway. Let's go, let's roll. And JT Real Muto cruises into second with an RBI double.
Since April 25th, Real Muto is 23 of 55.
Is that good, Rich?
It's good. Here's Echeverria, and he takes outside. And that adjustment that Real Muto made will move up closer to the plate. Maybe not so much worried about mechanics. Frank Menechino and Barry Bonds, just like that, all of a sudden, a guy who was cold to start the season has been red hot over the last 3 weeks.
Moving a little closer to the plate does two things. It makes you have a better look of where that outside corner is. You don't have to guess as much. When you're too far away, you're kind of guessing. And also, it pushes your bat, your swing more to the front of the strike zone. Because now, even though the ball's off the outside corner, you're swinging at it like it's a little bit more down the middle. So your bat path is a little bit more towards the front of the plate. I think it makes his swing a little bit shorter. I think it makes his pitch recognition a little bit better. And he's seen the ball better, obviously, by the way he's swinging.
Echeverria to right field. And that should push Real Muto to third. Presley makes the catch, and Real Muto is on his way to third base.
Productive out. I like that approach. He was trying to go the other way to move the runner. Well done.
Auto Nation brings you the scouting report on the 23-year-old Zach Davis.
He was almost, but not quite, didn't make it to be a Sun Devil. Baltimore gave him $575,000 to bypass his college experience. Was a thin guy, 6 feet tall, 155 pounds. Buck Showalter said he looked like the bat boy. And he's a 4-pitch guy, fastball, curve, cutter, change. Like I said, a la Mike Maddox, not Greg Maddox.
Nice. All right, here's Conley now. Infield's in. Conley is a guy that can make contact. And he takes a breaking ball in. Lucroy has to smother it. 4 hits last year and 18 at bats. Conley's looking for his first hit this year. He's 0 for 12.
But Braun is playing a little deeper out there than I thought he would be playing in this situation in left field. I thought he would be a little bit more shallow with the pitcher up.
It's 2-0. Jack on Merritt Island has a Marlins Park question. Since the park opened, he's been hearing about rolling windows. Please explain rolling windows. Well, after this pitch, we'll get to it. Conley goes after that fastball, little tapper to Hill, and the out is made, and Dietrich comes up with 2 outs and Real Muto at third. All right, the roof, you know, rolls back and forth and opens, but out in left field, you see the windows that are stacked there. Those windows on really hot or wet nights will roll closed. And the cool part about those windows is you can still plainly see the skyline of downtown Miami through them. The camera doesn't do it justice. It's hard looking through it there. But those windows actually roll closed. That helps with the AC. Thanks for watching on Merritt Island, home of Clint Hurdle, by the way.
Oh. It's almost like we have our own patio doors out there in left field, Rich. You know, except ours just slide out to a view of the lovely Miami downtown skyline and the beach. Everybody else's goes to their pool.
Here's a 0-1, and it's outside. Now, in the first inning, the Marlins did not get a run. They have a run here. But in that first, Derek Dietrich, Martin Prado, and Justin Bour all made really solid contact to the tune of 109 miles an hour off the bat for Dietrich. That one, not so much. A little floater out in shallow center. Flores is there, and he makes the catch. JT Realmuto with an RBI double, and Miami has tied this game. On TV, you can now stream them live on your mobile device with the new Fox Sports Go app. Download the app and take Fox Sports Florida and the Marlins wherever you go. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey, Rich. Well, tonight we're talking about Marlins Park and some of the cool features. How about the 2 aquariums? They're located to the left and the right of home plate. The one on the left has over 600 gallons of salt water and all sorts of tropical fish. The one on the right is a freshwater tank. And for anyone who is concerned about the safety of the fish, not to worry. These tanks were built with acrylic glass that is just as strong as bulletproof glass. There is also an additional pane of fiberglass that absorbs any blow from a foul ball or a wild pitch. So not only are these pretty, they are animal friendly as well.
Hey, you know what, Jessica? And there's how you can get a hold of us on emails and tweets. As I remember it, when the Marlins tested the tanks, they asked a few players to fire balls and stuff and hit balls and throw them into the tanks as hard as they can. And one of those players is here tonight, but not in uniform, and that's Gabby Sanchez, who was down around batting practice.
Really? That's a very interesting fact. I did not know that one. I know that the Marlins wanted to do whatever they could to make sure that these fish were taken care of. So that is very cool to know that not only did they use the best possible materials, but they also tested it out as well.
Yep, they are free-range fish, so there's that too. Here is Hernan Perez, and he takes outside. Conley not as sharp, obviously, as he was in Milwaukee or even in his last start against Arizona. And here comes Ryan Braun. All right, let's look. Let me jump onto the Twitter feed and see what we've got there. Craig says, hey, Clint Hurdle lives on Anna Maria Island near Bradenton, where the Pirates train, not Merritt Island. I didn't say that's where he lives. I said that's where he's from, and I believe he's from Merritt Island.
Born in Merritt Island.
So sorry you misheard there, Craig. But thanks for joining the show, and send your emails and tweets anytime. Braun pulls it foul, but thanks. You know what, though? It's a nice addition to the Clint Hurdle bio when the Pirates come in. Now we can say raised in Merritt Island, but lives on Anna Maria Island. Daniel wants to know, what's the status report on Jared Cozart in AAA? We will effort to get that for you as well. John Chimchuk is our baseball historian tonight. So Chimmy will be on it.
Let's go, Chimmy. Make us look good.
Jared Cozart. Chimmy is looking for his numbers. You know, there was a question about Mike Dunn as well. That was an email question, I believe. And Mike Dunn, the Marlins hope, will be back late May, early June. And he will be a nice addition to the bullpen as well. For Don Mattingly, Edwin Jackson is on target to come back a little bit before Dunn. So there's a couple veteran arms. And certainly Jackson, a guy that can stretch it out. There he is, Mike Dunn.
You ask, and you shall receive. Cozart is 1-1 with a 3.14 ERA and in AAA.
There you go. And after this pitch, Craig Minervini's got more on Mike Dunn. Braun calls it off as...
Yeah, pretty good news today. He threw 15 pitches in the bullpen, all fastballs, look good. And he'll have a complete bullpen session on Friday. And the Marlins are saying maybe early June to get Mike Dunn back. So that would be late May, early June, 2-3 weeks. It'd be a big addition to get that left-handed power arm in the bullpen, guys.
That would be nice. We've seen the Marlins pen the last 3 games have some hiccups. The 2 losses to the Phillies. And then last night trying to nail it down. Conley and Real Muto chatting. Braun and Mike DeMuro, the home plate umpire, chatting. Struck him out. Backdoor breaking ball. Maybe that's what Conley wanted to talk about.
That's just mean. First you make him beat his toe into the turf on that pitch before that, and then you throw that spike curve that A.J. Burnett used to throw. See that knuckle pointing up off of there? That's why they call it the spike curve. You spike that nail in there, get that tight rotation, backdoored him, 0-2 pitch, frozen pizza. Bye-bye, Ryan Braun.
It's a big out to get. Now Lucroy. Perez still at first and 1 out. Johnny wants to know, especially for you, Preston, it seems like the Marlins take a lot of first pitch fastballs down the middle. Do you agree, and why is that? And Johnny is another from Merritt Island. We're big in Merritt Island tonight.
All hitters are different. Some guys like to see if the pitches get deep in the count. You know, just because you take a pitch, you don't know it's going to be right down the middle when you say you're going to take a pitch. It just happens like that sometimes. I think it depends on what your offensive goal is or what your approach is that game. The Brewers tonight are hacking early, so sometimes they're swinging at fastballs that aren't right down the middle.
I've got one for, maybe Craig knows this. Steve from Del Rey. You mentioned pine tar, and you showed it when you showed Prado, helmets, hands, shoulders, uniforms. How hard is it to get that stuff out in the wash? I get grease on my shirts from yard work, and those shirts are done. Is there a secret detergent that's used? Lucroy swings and misses. See, Prado has always got that.
Rich, I'm the last guy to know about any secret detergent.
Yeah. That's a good point. But you do know about getting stuff all over your.
That I'm good at.
Yes.
That I'm good at. But if you find out what that is, please call my people.
I'll send a case over. Swing and a miss, and Conley tightening things up right now. He's out in front 1-2.
Oh, that's a good live fastball there. Up and away. Lucroy couldn't get on it. Conley seems to have picked it up a little bit right here once he got to Braun. The action on his fastball looks a little bit better. It looks like he's got that deception now that batters aren't picking up the ball as well.
That question on Mike Dunn was from Gator Tong. Runner goes in the air and deep center, but room for Ozuna, who makes the catch. 2 outs here in the third in a 1-1 game. Host your next networking event prior to a Marlins game this season. Choose from a variety of meeting places. Get hospitality, entertainment, catering packages. Call the Marlins Group sales team at 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com/groups. Group networking. Chris Carter takes down low. William has this suggestion for baseball. I think teams should be able to challenge 2 strike calls a game, and that's it. Thoughts?
I think we're moving closer and closer to the electronic strike zone. I really do. So that may not even have to be an issue later. What do you think about it, Rich?
Well, look, the technology that you see on the screen when we put the Fox box up, shows you the strikes, is the same technology that umpires use and are graded on. So that's the definitive strike zone. Swing and a miss by Carter. You can talk all you want about, hey, you just want the umpire to be consistent, and if it's 6 inches out on one guy, it should be consistent on every. The fact of the matter is that's the strike zone. It captures where the ball goes across the plate at the front of the plate. And so as technology gets better, I think you're right off the end of the bat.
Well, I, for one, think it's something that's definitely doable. I think it's something that I would advocate because it would take the human emotion, it take the human error out of the game for something that is so vital to the game as the strike zone.
Great example the other night was the pitch that Big Papi went bananas on. You remember the catcher kind of boxed it. It looked like it was out. That was actually a strike.
It ended up being a strike, but everybody was all in arms and up and outraged because of how McCann caught the ball, which was very far back and off the plate by the time the ball actually was settled in the glove. But the ball actually did cross the plate, and everybody was just all upset. But when you go back and look at it,
runner goes, pitches low, and another stolen base for the Brewers. Perez swipes second. They're 2 for 2 tonight.
It was a strike, you know, so you have to take the emotions out of it, and you have to take sometimes what could be a trick, you know, with how the guy catches it or the way the catcher reacts to it, and focus on where the ball crosses the front of the plate. And I think that once you get that solidified in a game, I actually think the game will be even better than it is right now.
Good question, good answer. Great pick by Prado for the final out. He really is something, this Martin Prado, isn't he?
That man can absolutely pick it. This is a bullet. What hop? Look at him get it. Spin and throw on target. Bye-bye.
Is brought to you by T-Mobile. Steven Strasburg, a wealthier young man. He and Jose are scheduled to go in Game 2, that Saturday night game of the doubleheader. Aroldis Chapman coming off his 30-game suspension. We talked about this last night. Another bad break, so to speak, for the Angels. Andrelton Simmons, their fine shortstop, former Brave, is out for 2 months with a thumb injury. And by law, player agreement, Section 3, Rule 504, any player making a spectacular play must, by rule, lead off the next inning.
That's actually in the bylaws. Did you know that?
I just cited it. Prado, Yelich, and Stanton against Zach Davies. Pitch misses out. Prado hit a bullet. We're talking about the exit speeds of those shots. Prado's was over 100 miles an hour. And Martin takes a strike. Jim from Fort Lauderdale. Jim is one of our most loyal viewers and always sends such comprehensive email questions. So the fielding percentage for Prado. Davies has it, flips it up, and he has 5 questions. 5 questions, Preston.
Okay.
The first is, if Craig Minervini is the mayor of Marlins Park, what does that make Jessica Blaylock? We will let Jessica select her own designation.
Yeah.
Second question. Today is National Shrimp Day. What is Preston's favorite way to eat shrimp?
You know, I'm kind of like the whole Bubba Gump variety. I like my shrimp everywhere. I like coconut shrimp. I like fried shrimp, grilled shrimp, barbecue shrimp, pineapple shrimp, shrimp gumbo.
I never should have asked. I knew that was coming. I knew Bubba Gump was coming. Here's Yelich. And he takes down low. Now this one I like. Can you add to your Fox Sports Florida Fantasy Auction an item that would allow a fan to join the Marlins for one of their foggy locker room club celebrations?
As much as that would enjoy that, no.
Yeah.
Because, and not because it's not that you don't want you in there, but it is a privilege to be able to make it to the major leagues and be in a major league clubhouse, and that's not something that I think should be sold.
I would agree, but you'd probably get a lot of money for it, for a great cause.
I agree, but you know, there may be other things you can work out to get them in the clubhouse, but you're sharing the experience at the same time and enjoying a major league win. I think that's the difference.
And if you're listening tonight, you're saying, well, what are they talking about? In case you haven't followed this ball club, and many of you may be popping in and out of a Marlins game and have not seen. The Marlins this year devised a post-game celebration that's not out in public. It's not in the dugout. It's just in the clubhouse, and it's just for the players. There's about a 10 to 12 minute period from end of game to when the media is allowed into a locker room. And the Marlins have a fog machine, laser light show. It's like a club with the loud music. Stanton takes outside. And so when guys are interviewed, the fog is still there. So the smoke machine is still present. Don Mattingly said, you know what? That's their time. And if they want to celebrate a win like that away from everybody, amongst themselves, I'm all for it, he said.
There's some things that bring a team together. And something as simple as that, because you got some guys who really enjoy it, but then you have guys who are really reserved and don't let go. To see them just sell out, to give that to their team, that's a bonding, that's a building experience.
The description from a couple of players is that everybody has their own unique dance. It's like if the entire team went to a club and went out on the dance floor. You know, some guys are modern. You know, some guys are a little salsa. Jeff Mathis apparently line dances.
Hey.
A little country western.
But that's what it is. It's
Yelich runs, pitch is in, throw down to second, and Yelich has the bag.
It's the unity, it's the fun, and I'll put it like this. They have a rule now where there's no facial hair allowed. You know what? There's a lot of guys who want to have goatees. There's a lot of guys who want to have beards. But they sacrifice that because that is what the team is required. It's the same thing for the thing after the game. You know, you may not even like to dance, but you're going to do it because you're doing it with your teammates and for your teammates.
Stanton now with a 2-1 pitch to look at from Davies, who walked him in the first. Pitch is in the dirt. And of course, Bryce Harper underwent that long series in which he didn't get much of anything to swing at. Probably affected his behavior last night when he was ejected and then came back out for the walk-off celebration and cursed out the umpire that tossed him. Stanton wanted to pull the trigger. He walks. Preston, I'll ask the question. I mean, if I were an emailer, I would send this question in. Having watched what you saw with Harper last night, does he get fined or does he get suspended?
Fined is the minimum. They maybe even drop a game suspension on him. You know, simply because he was already tossed out of the game. And yes, the game is over, so technically he's not back on the field during the game, so I don't think they can get him for that. But to have an exchange after it's supposedly all done, I think that's a bit too far. But yes, he will be fined at a minimum as a penalty, but I think he possibly could also see a suspension coming his way.
2 walks, and now Bour, who hit an absolute bullet to left for an out. We have Marlins Park as a theme running through the emails and tweets. Not solely that theme, but Claude Delorme, the vice president of stadium operations, will be by, and we'll have stadium questions, ballpark questions for him. Breaking ball misses inside to Bour. So Bour and Dietrich both hit the ball extremely hard for outs in the first. Marlins had 2 doubles in the second. Fastball in and low, and it's 2-1.
Good changeup. That's a good adjustment by Davies. The last time Bour was up there, he threw him a 2-2 fastball. This time he mixes it up and throws him a 2-2 changeup. And Bour was definitely looking for that fastball, but that's the same pitch that he lined so hard to left. So Davies was going to mix it up, make him hit something different in that count.
Bour just gets a piece and fouls it back. It's 2-2. Zach from Wellington, if the Marlins continue to play at a high level, Do you see them pursuing a guy like Tim Lincecum or another veteran arm for the rotation or bullpen during the second half? I would say yes. I would say if the Marlins are in contention, they will be active. That one's fouled back to the screen.
I think it's definitely something where it's a matter of what do you need. You know, Lincecum is one of those guys who I see has the potential to be a starter at the back end of your rotation right now. He can be a long guy in your bullpen, which I think they're going to be the initial option if someone does sign him. And he's got that experience. He's got that postseason playoff experience, which is huge to have in your locker room.
2-2. 4 swings and misses. And here is Ozuna. Ozuna doubled. A one hopper off the wall and left. That was back in the second. Davies' workload at 56 pitches. Adam Conley in his 3 innings has thrown 55. Liner to left. That's a base hit. Yelich should score easily. Stanton's going to get to third. Braun's throw cut. And Ozuna hustles to second. And Miami has the lead. It's 2-1.
Tell you what, I've seen some much better base running tonight. I like what I'm seeing. Ozuna, first of all, wow, is he swinging the bat well. Drives another ball down there in that left field corner, but this one he gets on the barrel a little bit better. Drives around the corner. Look at the base runners. Good jump by Yelich. No hesitation. He scores automatically. Stanton does a good job reading that, advancing to third, and Ozuna does a great job reading the throw, going into third base, advancing from first to second. Great job all the way around. I like what the Fish are doing on the bases tonight.
And a chance for more here with Real Muto up. Smashed a double into deep right center to drive home the first run. Makes a fastball up and in. Ball and a strike. Had a few questions about the roof. George from Jupiter wants to know if the electricity goes out, can you manually shut the windows? That would be a Claude question.
That's a great question, but you got to think with the weight of that roof, there would have to be some incredible gears to distribute that weight enough for it to be manually cranked.
Oh, they were talking about the windows.
Oh, the windows, still.
Oh, those are pretty heavy.
Yeah, those are pretty heavy, but there may be a way for them to slide those across.
Maybe the cracked staff. VR to first in time to get Real Muto. The Marlins get a run and lead this ball game 2-1. Park opened in 2012. 2-1, Marlins on top. Rich Waltz along with Preston Wilson. Claude Delorme, Vice President of Ballpark Events, and how close am I on that?
Well, it's EVP of Operations and Events.
All right. Well, that was close.
Yeah, no, you almost got it.
All right, we've already had some Marlins Park questions. They wanted to know how long does it take to close the windows, the rolling windows in left field?
Well, the fastest we can do it is if we start on both sides. It's about 3 to 5 minutes.
That's all.
Yeah, maximum. And then if we do it separately, at a maximum of 7 minutes.
And the crack staff wanted to know if there were no electricity, could they, the crack staff, push the windows closed?
We could, but it would be manually with a forklift. So hopefully we don't have to experience that.
With a forklift.
Yeah, we'd have to just so because each glass weighs 90,000 pounds.
That's it.
So that's it. So you know, for us to be able to push that, we definitely need a pretty good lift.
Aaron Hill is up. All right, Claude. The biggest change in the ballpark this year, the fences. I love the fact that they're dropped down to 7 feet in left field and in right field. 8.5 feet. That one hits Hill, and he's on his way to first. 8.5 feet in straightaway center, and they've come in center and right center. You see there the outline of those bushes, that black. There you see the fence. I mean, that's a great look there. The old fence, which is painted black. Have you counted the home runs that have gone out that would not have gone out last year?
Someone mentioned to me, and I don't know if this is accurate, but there was a total of 5 home runs this year that would not have been home runs last year. And I think we're 1 and 4, so 1 on our side, 4 for the visiting team. So hopefully it's going to be more than even out by the time this season's over.
Alex Presley is up, and Presley singled back in the second. Brewers got their run in the first. Marlins single runs in the second and the third. Before the season started, you and I were out in the Clevelander for an event for winter warm-up, and the lower fence to me has transformed that space. You can see right in, and when you're sitting there, you can look right out without anything blocking your view. What's been the reaction for fans that have been in the Cleveland?
No, Rich, I completely agree. In terms of fan experience, nothing compares with that change. And if the fans coming to the ballpark want to really treat themselves, by all means, buy a ticket to the Clevelander. Standing room tickets are $20 or $30 on weekends, and really enjoy it. It's outstanding. It's almost like you're part of the. It's almost like you're part of the outfield.
Another question. Marvin says he's coming to Marlins Park from the Tampa Bay area for the Rays series. Are there any shuttles that can take him from this ballpark to the downtown hotels, which we can see right from our perch here?
Yeah, from Tampa, no, but
no, from the park to the hotel.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a shuttle service from the city of Miami that takes you right downtown. And we also have 8 bus routes as well that takes you different locations, and quite a few. I think there's 3 of them that take you downtown, so that would not be an issue. If
you're a fan coming to the ballpark, is there an information booth or a transportation booth where you can go to find out the locations of these shuttles? Yeah, by all means, when you get to the ballpark, go to stand 15 on the promenade level, and they'll give you all the directions with the locations of the 8 bus routes. Ramon Flores into center field, so stand 15 for you, Marvin, and say hi when you come over from Tampa Bay. New food options, a lot of food questions tonight, most of them coming from Preston, but what are the new food options at Marlins Park? Well, we have a new barbecue stand on the third base side on the promenade, and grilled cheese sandwich at the food cart, you know, where at the, and it's really outstanding. Again, anyone who has time, if you're moving around to going towards first base, we have a food truck, portable, and please try it. It's outstanding. Really nice item. You know, the burgers as well at stand 19, very close to you know, really a premium burger. And again, the high cheese is the location of the portable cart.
And people, you know, it's worth the wait because the chef will prepare it just in front of you. It's outstanding product.
Prado gets the out at first. Speaking of food trucks, they're so popular in so many cities. I've come to the ballpark a few times. Do I see some food trucks out in front of Marlins Park?
Yeah, when we do special events, opening days, or sometimes on Sundays, we'll invite 3 or 4 food trucks to come out. So certainly anytime we do a soccer game or we do another event such as when we have the Miami Beach Bowl, we'll invite, because a lot of people like to tailgate and spend some time outside before the game starts. So we like to provide them with some options before coming inside the venue.
What about for a baseball game? Are there food trucks out there?
It happens. We probably do it 5-6 times a year. That we'll have. Sometimes we'll focus on desserts, and other times it's just your main entrees.
We got to see if we can put it in order to get some of those grilled cheese or one of those burgers up here. So not just so we can sample it, but so the fans can get a look at it too, so they can see what they're missing.
Yeah. No, Preston, we'll definitely have to do that. We'll bring some up for you guys.
Yeah.
Because it's really a great item. I think you'll enjoy it.
See, I told you. I told you. Preston with the food questions.
No, but that's okay. You know what? He's got a sample.
That's right. He is. And I'm his partner, so I have to help him. Conley misses down low. Jonathan Villar is up. Villar struck out in the second. It was a big out by Conley. And it left the Brewers with a pair of runners in scoring position. Here, there's 2 outs. And Conley's gone 3-0 with Hernan Perez on deck. And a strike. Count 3-1. Emails and tweets tonight. And a 3-2 pitch coming. We have a few others into center field. That's a base hit. 1 run will score. Up with the ball, Ozuna, throw to the plate. It is not in time, and it skips by Real Muto. And Villar, with 1 swing, has given Milwaukee a 3-2 lead. And so the Brewers, the bunt by Davies, a good one, and Villar, his 2nd hit of the night, his 4th already in 2 nights.
Oh, he's swinging the bat well, and he scorches this one up the middle on a 1-hopper. Ozuna actually does a great job lining up his body, getting that throw home. That 2nd hop was a little bit too nasty for Real Muto. He can't hold it. See, it skips up over his glove right there. Runners are able to advance from 1st to 2nd, but that 2nd hop really ate him up. First one's good throw, and this one really pops up, picks up speed almost because it hits the dirt after the grass, and that's tough for a catcher to try to handle, but it's a great throw. Unfortunately, it gets away.
Conley now trying to get Perez to end this inning. Runner goes, big jump, strike called, excuse me. The strike call by DeMuro was so demonstrative, it deked me. It's a stolen base by Villar.
This hop, watch it, right at the edge of the grass, right where the dirt and the grass meets. And that's important because the ball will actually change speeds. The grass hits it, and it'll slow it down. And then when the dirt hits it, it's got a different rotation on it. It'll pick up speed and bounce. That's a tough play for Real Muto.
Counts 0-2 on Perez. All right. Real Muto gets a piece. Here comes Villar, and he'll score with a slide. And the Brewers have 3 runs here.
That uncontested stolen base looks really big right now. That was great that Villar stole that base, because sometimes when you get a young pitcher, you can have him thinking about what just happened with that base hit, him giving up 2 runs, not paying attention to the base runner with 2 outs. That run scores, and now a wild pitch. Instead of him advancing from 2nd to 3rd, it becomes another run to stretch the lead for your ball club.
And a turning point certainly in this ball game for the Brewers. Miami had a 2-1 lead. Conley looked like he'd settled in the 3rd, but not so here in the 4th. And the 1-2 to Perez, lifted in the air, right center field. That falls for a hit. Stanton cuts it off, and Milwaukee with their 7th hit of the ball game.
This ball's just a little bit up in his zone. If that ball's down, it's a ground ball. Tonight he's up, and they're finding a way to drop those base hits out there. They're hitting them hard some, they're blooping some, they're running at base as well. This Marlins ball club is on the attack.
All right, Todd in Boca, Claude has a Marlins Park question, and it has to do with hockey. The NHL has successfully played games in outdoor ballparks and stadium and such. If the roof is closed and they blast the AC, is there any way they can play hockey in here with the Panthers?
Yeah, we think we can. You said they did it in LA, so we think our conditions would be more favorable than in Los Angeles. And there's no doubt, we can climatize the building in the low 70s, and certainly the way with all the equipment that they have available to them, we would love to do that game, and we think at the right time of the year, I think the fans would really enjoy it and come out and fill the building.
So you could crank the AC down to 7?
Yeah, we could bring it down to probably low 60s, mid to high 60s. And certainly with the equipment that they would put at ice level, we could keep the ice in good condition for that transition period. So,
has there been any discussion with the NHL over that?
We've talked to a few people at the Panthers, and certainly indicated that we had interest. So if the opportunity presents itself, we told them that we'd love to explore that opportunity.
I, for one, would definitely be in the house to see that. To see a hockey match game, whatever you want to call it, I call them hockey games, played in Marlins Park, just to know that the beach is right there. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would be in here. Yes.
Preston, with the view of downtown and everything else, and, ideally the roof would even be open, but this is our 43rd game with the roof open, guys. So 5th of this homestand. That's only happened 2 other times since 2012.
And I'm not much of a hockey fan, and I've seen a few games live, and they are so much more fun live to watch than until the action is so fast, the shift changes, the athleticism of the skaters is so much fun to see those guys that can skate like a Pavel Bure, that just glide on the ice, and then you see the big guys, the enforcers, and they just look like robots on skates. It's so much fun.
They're fast, Preston, that's for sure. A little bit faster than where we're used to walking, but
yes, they are.
It's impressive.
Listen to Preston dropping a Pavel Bure on,
oh, yeah, man.
on the telecast.
My first hockey game, I went to go see Brett Hull was playing, and he was just as smooth as you want to be on a pair of skates, man.
Good scorer.
Well, see, Preston, you got a hockey buddy here.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right?
Got me some grilled cheese coming out, baby.
Exactly. You're getting more than grilled cheese, for sure.
Now, if you could mention a few Montreal Canadiens, I think maybe
oh, man.
the grilled cheese would be here.
Now you put me under the gun.
Yeah, there's a lot of players there. You can go back a lot of years to Jean Beliveau and Jacques Lemaire.
That one is into center field, and a throwing error by Real Muto, and a sloppy inning for the Marlins just got a little sloppier. In a 4-2 Brewers lead. Don Mattingly working the gum. And you got to think that just came out wrong out of Real Muto's hand. All this while Ryan Braun is waiting at the plate for a 3-1 pitch, which is down low and in. Marlins bullpen is up, and Adam Conley right now has put himself in a precarious spot. Here comes Lucroy, who can add to the pain pretty quickly.
Got a Montreal Canadian for you, Guy Lafleur.
Yeah, he was one of the best players. Such a great, graceful skater. I mean, impressive goal scorer as well. But yeah, he was definitely one of the better players.
I always get a kick of seeing like the old photos of Gordie Howe laid out, like in that. You ever see that picture of him laid out vertically, just on the ice, like in the air? It's like he's Superman in a hockey uniform.
Bobby Orr, right? When he scored that goal and he went across the net. So that
wow,
people remember that as well.
Listen to you guys. Just all right. Let's go back to baseball.
All right,
here.
let's go. Back to the other game with sticks.
Yeah. Jonathan Lucroy is up. Ryan Braun is at first. Stadium questions with Claude Delorme. And Adam Conley with Urena getting ready, throws a strike. Marlon Maniac wants to know, tell us about the process of moving the Pittsburgh games from Puerto Rico here.
Yeah, I mean, we were planning, we've been planning since the offseason to play the first 2 games in Puerto Rico, come back after the 7-10 game, play the last 2 games against Pittsburgh, and then finish off the homestand that weekend. So when the decision was made by Major League Baseball to postpone the games and reschedule for here, first thing we had to do was basically create 2 events at the ballpark in terms of our box office, and then we had to communicate with our season ticket holders, partial plans, and make sure that their seats were set aside for both of these events, and then the tickets were put on sale the following day at 10 a.m.
Lucroy up. Braun was running on that last 0-2. He's not running here, and that's a strike. And a long inning ends for Adam Conley. Claude, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
My pleasure.
Claude Delorme, bring the grilled cheese to our new hockey fan, Preston Wilson.
Thank you.
Big inning for the Brewers. They lead at 4-2. Marlins Baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by the all-new 2017 Chrysler Pacifica, by Checkers Fast Foodies Know the Deal, and by your South Florida Chevy dealers. Sun setting on Miami. Now with a 4-2 lead for the Brewers, it will be setting, it looks like, on Adam Conley as well. Denny Echeverria in the 8th spot leads it off, and Cole Gillespie is on deck. That's Conley's spot. The breaking ball misses in. Marlins have had plenty of base runners tonight. Davies has seen to that by issuing 3 walks, and Miami has 4 hits. So there's a lot of baseball to be played, but obviously a turning point in the game for now, that 3 runs in the top of this inning, and we'll see if young Zach Davies can make those hold up. Carter got a piece and flips it to first to get the out.
The key play in that inning was Villar recognizing that Conley was still focused a little bit on the previous base hit, steals third base, and then is able to score on the wild pitch, adding that second run, you know, to get that lead, to make it 4-2 instead of 3-2, I think was a very big play thus far in this ball game.
So Conley's done, and here is Gillespie, pinch a penny pinch hitter. One of the fun things about emails and tweets on a Tuesday is we get them from all over the world. Jerry in Glasgow, Scotland. It's just gone 1:30 a.m. watching the ball game. Would love one of those cheese bakes. So that's what they call grilled cheese. So Preston, you have a brother in arms in Scotland in Jerry. Gillespie pokes that one foul.
I got to get me one of those kilts, man. You know, we're going to, you know, have us a cheese bake hangout and then get me a kilt. What do you think? Maybe a kilt and a bow tie, Rich? What do you think? Maybe I can work that?
Just make sure it matches your pocket square.
Oh, of course. I'm not a savage. Of course it's going to match my pocket square.
Gillespie takes fastball in. South Florida Honda dealers, get you ready for tomorrow night. Series concludes. Martin Prado's journey to the bigs. And Gillespie takes down low. Full count, 3-2. You got Dietrich, Prado, Yelich, Stanton if Gillespie gets on base and the Marlins get something started. Into center, Flores went back now in, and he makes the catch. There are 2 outs. I didn't have a chance to ask this to Claude Delorme. But a good question from Mark in Orlando. Thinking about the All-Star game next year, given clear skies on Home Run Derby Day, would you rather have the rolling windows open or closed, roof open or closed for Home Run Derby? I personally feel it'd be fun to see balls go out of the stadium through the windows with them open. Well, look, the All-Star game is usually second week in July, and it's hot and humid, and this place will be full with 36,000. My guess is you'd want the AC on and the roof closed, but the idea of just opening the windows up for the Derby might be cool.
It's an interesting question, because you think about the time of year and it's going to be really warm down here in Miami.
High pop. VR makes the catch, and that is a shutdown inning. 12 pitches for Zach Davies. Brewers in control right now, 4-2.
Food at the ballpark, and Marlins Park has some of the best food around. You can get everything here, from a Cuban sandwich to a burger to sushi. And how about this place? It is new to Marlins Park this season. It is called the High Cheese, and every item on the menu is modeled after grilled cheese. Even the dessert, check that out. It's called the Fluffernutter. I have one in my hand right here. It has peanut butter, Nutella, and marshmallow. Check this out, guys. I think I definitely have to bring one of these to the booth.
Well, thank you for that. Preston would welcome that. And
yes.
Claude didn't tell us about the fluffer nutter.
Nah, he was holding back on that one. I got to catch Claude up in the hallway up there. He was holding out on us with the peanut butter and marshmallow fluff.
Jose Urena, fastball in on Chris Carter and fouls it back. Now, if Miami is going to start back into this game, they need Jose Urena to give them some innings. Breaking ball and a swing and a miss by big, strong Chris Carter. Aaron Hill, Alex Presley follow. 4 runs, 7 hits for Milwaukee. 2 runs, 4 hits, and an error for the Marlins. That is strike 3 called. The throwing error on Marcell Ozuna has been removed. And I assume that the scorer felt the runner was moving up as the throw came home. And thus, the ball going to the screen did not affect a base runner going from one base to the next. Marlins still have a throwing error, and that was Real Muto's throw into center. Hill now has 2 hits. The fastball misses in. If you're just happening by, this was Adam Conley's second start since flirting with a no-hitter, and this was the team that he flirted with, the Milwaukee Brewers. He got 2 outs into the 8th before he was lifted in Milwaukee, and the Brewers knocked him around here tonight. And Aaron Hill sends one in the gap onto the track. Ozuna retrieves, and Hill is 3 for 3 tonight. Of course, it doesn't compare to his 3-homer game that he had a few days ago in Cincinnati, but it's impressive.
That's about as well as you can square a ball up. That ball's hit so hard on the line, and he's in a good spot right now. He looks so relaxed in the box, got that short setup, compact yet powerful swing. 2 for 2 with a hit by pitch tonight for Aaron Hill.
This is a good question. As Presley settles in. If the All-Star game were played today, who would you pick to be the Marlins representative? My first selection would be in left field. My second selection would be in right field. I think the year Yelich has had from the very start is worthy of an all-star bid. I think Stanton has had that type of year as well in terms of power. Martin Prado, who has been at the top of the hitting charts, is as hot as anybody right now.
That's a great question, because I guarantee you, if you're leading the league in hitting, a lot of people that's going to be their first pick. Martin Prado.
Bohr, Urena did not cover first. You could hear Real Muto say get over, and Urena, I don't know if he slipped.
Let's see how he gets off the mound here. No, he just stopped going. He started to go, then stopped going. You took it for granted that that ball was going to be caught by the second baseman. See him start, stop, and right there, it's too late. When there, it's done. Those are the things that can hurt you even when you're pitching well. He's pitching pretty well. He'll hit that ball hard, but he's throwing the ball well. That should have been the second out. Now, if he gives up a run right here on a sac fly, he's going to be kicking himself, because he's got only himself to blame, because that's a cardinal sin to not cover first base when the ball's hit on that side.
Flores now takes a strike.
You can always stop. You can always stop if you get over there and you're 15 feet away from the bag and the first baseman has it, shut it down. But he just stopped at the beginning of it, which absolutely, that play is done at that point. You can't regenerate that speed with that base runner getting down the line.
Hill at third, Presley at first. To right, Stanton's coming in, got a good head of steam. Hill tags, and the throw is high and up the line, and the run scores. And if you're Jose Urena, as Preston described, you got to be kicking yourself right now. You cover first, and the inning is over.
And not only do you cost yourself a run, you've cost your team a run. And instead of it being a 2-run ball game, now it's a 3-run ball game on something that you work on every day in spring training, covering first base.
Marlins appeal third, and feeling that the runner left early. And the umpires say no, he didn't. Davies, the pitcher, is up. And he swings and misses. And a strike. Getting to the All-Star game, obviously, it's the fan vote first, then it's the player vote, and then the league, with the help of the manager, fill it out from there. Terry Collins, of course, will be the National League manager in the All-Star game. Chopper to short, Echeverria, and he almost cost himself. A little too lackadaisical out there for the Marlins in this inning. Another defensive lapse cost them another run.
At the bottom of the fifth, the Marlins have continued visiting area schools here last week and a half or so, part of their think tank program. Today, a special visit here in Miami to Citrus Grove Elementary School, and what a treat for the kids there as Don Mattingly, the manager, came in with Ichiro, the future Hall of Famer, to talk a little bit with this science class, a fifth grade science class that had plenty of things to say as well. They even acted out a little baseball game complete with broadcasters and cheerleaders, a little bit for the guys, and it was all about the importance of water for your body. Also, the kids spoke about their career choices, like being a lawyer, business owner, doctor, robotics engineer as well. They got to sign autographs too, and Don Mattingly said a very smart group of kids. None of them wanted to be a sports writer, he said.
Oh, that's, I think you misheard there. I think it was sportscaster.
Well, maybe. They had a lot of fun. Ichiro also was asked about why he wanted to become a ball player, and he said a baby wolf is grown into a pack and just does what the leader of the pack does. His pack leader happened to be a baseball player when he was young, and he started playing when he was 3 and decided to go the route of baseball.
I like that Ichiro speaking in parables to the kids. Breaking ball, this is out. And it's 1-1. Zach Davies. And the Brewers are up 5-2 here, midway through. The Marlins have not had the best of nights defensively. Aaron Hill up to snare that line drive off the bat of Martin Prado. The Fish have had opportunities to add on to their 2-run total, but have yet to do so. Fish at bat says, with the way the Marlins are playing tonight, where's the best place to get a drink at Marlins Park? Well, we saw the Clevelander, we saw the Grey Goose, the bottle of Grey Goose out there.
We got the Budweiser Terrace up there, up beyond left field. Or Budweiser, what is it? It's a Budweiser Terrace patio, whatever it is.
Yep, the Budweiser bar is a good place to go. In the Clevelander, I would go there. I would go Clevelander first, Budweiser bar second. Yelich, fastball for a strike. Line drive, Yelich down the line and fair into the corner. He just keeps on doing it. 9th double for Yelich. Miami has a runner in scoring position. Stanton and now Bour coming up.
Watch Yelich use his hands to get on top of this pitch. A lot of lefties can't handle this pitch. This is a letter-high fastball, middle away, and he absolutely drives it down into the corner. That's not one of those little flares that the lefties flip over there. That ball is driven down into the left field corner.
Stanton now has walked twice. And he got a pitch to hit there. Changeup, and he pulls it foul. It's 0-1. By Davies. It sounded like Stanton broke his bat. And that's the second out.
Slider, cutter. Yeah, it hits off. The bat does break. The bat does break, but he's just so strong that that ball still comes off there pretty hard. Yeah, you can hear it. That's a broken bat sound.
Here's Justin Bour, who was lined out and struck out. Oh. And a strike. One to center. Flores going back at the wall. Got it. Wow, that's about 405 feet from home plate. Ramon Flores runs it down. Bour hit it a ton. Still 5-2 Milwaukee. It's the 6th. Time now for our Geico Marlins moment. 2003. Marlins fire manager Jeff Torborg. The next day, Jack McKeon is named the skipper, who of course leads the Marlins to a 2003 World Championship. On this date in history. And on this date in history, Jonathan Villar was a pain in the neck to the Marlins. He has 2 hits, has driven in 2 runs, stolen a base, scored twice. And he's up here to lead it off in the 6th inning. Jose Ureña in relief of Adam Conley. Mr. Dimples would like to know, how would you guys feel about spending an inning or 2 with the other team's broadcasters per game?
That would be pretty interesting, depending on who it is. Some guys, you know, you always want to hear what their style is, to hear how they call a game, but also to hear their take on their ball club. So I think that would be unique. We do it in spring training every now and then. I'll do a game with the play-by-play caller from the St. Louis Cardinals, Dan McLaughlin, and it's always interesting to hear us do a game while the Cardinals and the Marlins are playing, but we're both trying to be fair and even with the coverage.
Ureña quick to get to that one and gets the out at first. Last year in Atlanta, we did a game in which a couple of innings, all 4 broadcasters, Chip Caray and Joe Simpson, were on the air with me and with Tommy Hutton at the time, and that was a really cool experiment, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do that again. So I would vote for that. I liked that. I liked all 4 of us on at the same time on both Atlanta television and Miami television. And obviously you can do it with other cities. We did it in Atlanta last year. And you're right, it's fun to hear their perspective on a guy like Yelich or Stanton. And I'm sure they'd like to hear us talk about some of their guys. Hava wants to know, here's the 2-0. If the Marlins make the postseason, is Dee Gordon going to be back? He will be back by then, but by rule, he is not eligible to play in the postseason. And that comes with the 80-game suspension. Wednesday Showdown is tomorrow. Brought to you by La Lechonera. Marlins Live starts the coverage at 6:30. Wei-Yin Chen to start against Chase Anderson. On paper, if you're a Marlins fan, you had to like the matchup of this one. Adam Conley against Zach Davies. Conley, of course, nearly no-hit the Brewers. The Marlins beat Davies in that 6-3 win. And that was just a week and a half ago in Milwaukee. Braun lifts one foul and out of play. But here tonight, the Brewers' bats were alive. Marlins have helped them at times with their defense. And Milwaukee's banged out 9 hits for Craig Counsell. Pitch misses low. Adam Conley ended up going 4 innings, 4 runs earned, 2 walks and 4 strikeouts. Ureña charged with a run in the 5th.
Almost had that one, Rich.
Keep telling yourself that. Keep telling yourself that. We'll try to get as many of your emails and tweets. Actually, a very busy night tonight as you try to Balance calling the game and keeping you guys involved in the telecast. Fastball up with the runner on the move with 1 out. And Braun walks. Tomorrow night, Brewers and Marlins 7:10 start. Kids eat free tomorrow night. You get a ticket. With a ticket, you get a coupon. So a coupon is like a ticket. And it gets you a free KM Beef Frank, bag of Frito-Lay chips, and a small Pepsi or Aquafina water. Go to marlins.com for details. Urena facing Jonathan Lucroy. Fastball in. Sal from Orange Park. I'm back, and this is the last time I'll ask a question. Please ask Preston if Justin Bour reminds him of Boog Powell. It may be before Preston's time, though.
Boog Powell.
Boog Powell, the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, big Baltimore Orioles slugger.
Not Boog Shambi, although Boog Shambi and Boog Powell do kind of share some similarities.
I believe Boog has a barbecue stand up there somewhere, like Boog Barbecue.
Oh, absolutely, at Camden Yards.
That's right, yeah.
In right field.
I know who Boog Powell is, absolutely.
Now, does Bour remind you of Boog Powell?
I guess the stature is kind of the same. Maybe who's the big slugger that used to be with the Phillies? Pete Incaviglia. Maybe not as you know, bulky, but kind of like that big frame first baseman, Pete Incaviglia.
But Incaviglia was a right-handed hitter.
Right, yeah.
Powell was a lefty.
But I'm just talking about the fact that he plays first base. He's a big guy, you know. I mean.
Well, I mean, we could throw all kinds of big guys that play first base.
This is true.
But it's a good. Sal from Orange Park. Thanks for asking. Jerry from Scotland. You'll be happy to know that Preston got his grilled cheese sandwiches. And what is fouled back?
Yes, I did. We got a brioche triple grilled cheese right here. You know, so check a look at that thing. Say, Rich. And we got a fried chicken pimento with Alabama white sauce on it.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that's going to get eaten in the middle of the game right here. Oh, yeah. Rich?
Let me move away from that. That's all yours, pal.
Come on, man.
That's all yours. Runner goes from second. Lucroy muscles one out to short. Echeverria on to first in time to get an out. There's 2 outs. And the Brewers have runners at second and third, and here comes Chris Carter. What you said, Alabama white sauce?
Yeah, fried chicken pimento with Alabama white sauce, which is white barbecue sauce. That's what it is.
Does look good. Must admit. Carter takes in. And Blaine Boyer getting loose in Milwaukee's pen. Chris Carter is 0-for-3.
Sorry, I'm a little distracted right now with that grilled cheese sitting in front of me.
1-0. Fastball in. Miami hasn't played too many games like this where the defense has hurt them, at least not lately. I think earlier in the year, especially in that first homestand with Atlanta, they may have. That one lofted foul and out of play. Carter, big, strong. The guy that hit a lot of homers with the Oakland and with Houston. He would remind me of a George Scott if you want to go back to way back.
like a Dave Kingman type guy. You know, big time power, is going to make some outs, but when he hits one, they are tape measure shots.
Three-one fastball at 95 miles an hour.
This is just a fastball that's thrown right by him. That's power versus power.
And he lost him. And so Urena has been uneven here in the 5th and in the 6th. He's walked the bags loaded. There are 2 outs. Juan Nieves is out. Dano, more ballpark questions. I don't know if we can text Claude some of these. Are there other bobblehead museums around the country? That's from Dano up in, I believe, West Palm Beach. I think Milwaukee had a case, but I don't know that they had quite the collection or museum. St. Louis has a great display of all kinds of cool bobbleheads, memorabilia, tchotchkes, whatever you want to call them. Some of the great Cardinal giveaways. That's down in one of their clubs behind home plate. Aaron Hill, the Marlins have not been able to get tonight. He's 3 for 3, a couple of singles and a double. Hill, a guy who's always been known for his bat, especially his years in Toronto and later Arizona. And he's hitting again here in Miami. That will plate at least 2 with Perez and Braun coming across. And the Brewers crack it open now at 7-2.
This ball is smoked. It's a little bit above knee high, but Hill, like we said, is swinging the bat extremely well. Came into that at bat already 2 for 2 with a hit by pitch. Adds to it with this 2 RBI double down the line. This young man is staying hot.
So another double. And Urena right now having to absorb these runs. No one's throwing in Miami's bullpen, and really the Marlins don't want anybody up right now. Don Mattingly needs some rested arms certainly for tomorrow night, and so it's Urena's job to try to pitch through this. Presley flips one foul and out of play. Oh, 2 on the ground. Bour kicks it, and the Marlins struggles on defense continue. Whether it's errors, whether it's not covering bases, it has added up tonight.
Well, it started out with mental errors. Now it's becoming physical. That ball is just literally kicked by Justin Bour on what could have been the 3rd out of the inning.
I would expect E3. It is an error on Bour at the corners for the Brewers. No RBI. 2 runners on, and the only thing that keeps Preston going at this point is the commercial break coming up, so he can get one of those, what do they call it, the cheesecakes? Cheese bakes.
Cheese baked, yes.
Cheese bake from our buddy in Scotland. Flores has a sacrifice fly and a single. Taps it over the middle. Dietrich flips in time to get the out at second. Long inning, painful inning. 1 hit, 3 walks, and an error. And 3 runs. All right, Press, go to work.
I mean.
State driven by Ford, where I have found the party here at Marlins Park. It is located at the Clevelander. This area was designed after the original Clevelander that is in South Beach. You can fit up to 240 people here. There is great food, plenty of drink options. Hey, there's even a pool. And guys, I know you were talking about this earlier with Claude Delorme. One of the best aspects of the Clevelander is the fantastic view. Because they lowered the fences this season, you really do feel like you are a part of the game when you're out here at the Clevelander.
We have noticed that the Clevelander has actually been very lively this year, and on Sunday it's a kid-friendly place. Not so much tonight. He said. Marcell Ozuna beat Blaine Boyer. Zach Davies is done. Brewers go to their pen, and they also bring in a former Met, Kurt Neuenhuis. Now, for the Marlins offensively, Marcell Ozuna has stood out tonight. Double, scored in the second, RBI single in the third. Mark tweets in, by the way, Boog Powell played at Key West High School. Did not know that. It's out to Ozuna. The count's 3-1. Ozuna rolls one on the ground. Perez in time to get him. In and out here in the 6th. Ronnie wants to know, this is a question they asked the commissioner a lot in the offseason, adding the designated hitter in the National League.
I know a lot of people like the DH. I don't. You know, and I know I'm in the minority on this, but I like I like when the pitcher has the hit. I think it adds to the strategy of the game. I know if you like offense, the DH is the way to go, and it's just my opinion, but I like the National League style game where the pitcher has to hit and contribute offensively, and it adds to the managerial moves that they have to make.
Real Muto bounces one up the middle. That's a second out. How much DHing did you do in your career?
When you're the center fielder, you don't get to DH much. Usually if you're the center fielder and you have an opportunity, you're usually back out there in center field. There's not very many everyday center fielders that when they do play interleague or a situation comes where DH is up that they actually get to DH.
Echeverria now. It was flied out, bounced out.
So I don't know, we can have Chimmy check on it to see if he can find out how many times I DH'd. But I don't remember many at all, if any.
Maybe spring training, that's popular.
Yeah, now that I could see.
Busted bat, and Blaine Boyer comes in and looks sharp, getting 3 ground ball outs. All Brewers right now 8-2. In DC Friday night. Remember, 2 on Saturday with a Strasburg-Jose matchup. The second game on Saturday. Sunday at 1 o'clock start. Philly, Cheesesteaks, the Fanatic, the Fightins, Pete McCannon, Odubel Herrera. All of that for the Marlins' next road trip. Miguel Rojas ends up at shortstop. Marlins roster move today. Remember that tumble that Nefi Ogando took at first base? Well, it actually broke a piece of his rib off. And so he is on the disabled list. Nick Whitgren has been called up from New Orleans. Second stint with the Marlins this year. Whitgren, a guy that can pitch multiple innings, and the Marlins are hopeful they see that right now. So Jose Urena, a couple innings in relief of Adam Conley. Neither pitcher had good nights tonight, Conley nor Urena. And a fastball misses up to Kurt Neuenhuis, who came in that double switch. Conley 4 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Urena 2 innings, 3 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 3 walks, and a strikeout. It's been determined that Preston Wilson never DH'd. Ever.
I knew it. I don't remember ever getting that opportunity. It's hard when you're the center fielder.
Chapin wants to know if any of you have been in the Clevelander pool. Have not. I think you have to be invited to go in the Clevelander pool.
I remember a couple years ago, a lot of the players jumped into Clevelander pool after a game. I think when, well, actually that might have been last year, when the first night when Dan Jennings' first win, they took him down to the pool and they all jumped in. I think that happened, but as far as us guys in the booth, not yet. We're gonna work on it though. Maybe we can broadcast a game from out there, Rich, in the pool.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Although floating the electrical equipment would be a concern. VR is up. He's been a concern. 2 for 4 last night, 2 for 4 tonight. Driven into, scored 2. And he has swiped a couple bags these last 2 nights.
Rich, while we got a second, I'd like to say happy anniversary to my good buddy Roger and Laura Parsons. Celebrated 35 years yesterday. Missed it yesterday, but guys, thinking about you, happy anniversary.
Do you think they're actually watching on their anniversary?
Oh yeah, they're big Marlins fans. Their anniversary was yesterday.
Oh,
you
okay.
know, yes.
Just checking.
So you know, if I would have said it yesterday, they probably wouldn't have heard it anyway.
Thank
so
you.
tonight is the better option. Yes.
Good for them. (8-2). Wittgren into his second stop in the big leagues. A Purdue Boilermaker.
Do you think maybe he disagreed with that call a little bit?
He wasn't happy, and then a quick nod to Mike DeMuro.
He said that ball's down.
Well, if they still have the Fox tracks saved.
You know what? That ball's right at the tip. I can see how he would think it's down, and I can see how the umpire can call it a strike. You know, that's just one of those pitches.
That has enough of the black and enough of the knees to be a strike. And like we said, if this were a computer called strike, it would be a strike. As long as it touches any of those lines on that grid, that's a strike.
Right, you can't go by where the catcher catches it, because you got to remember the pitcher is on a mound, so that the ball is going at a decline. So where he catches it is usually lower than where it crosses the front of the plate. Unless they come up with a new pitch, and I'm glad I'm not playing if the ball starts going down and then up, and then we might have to start figuring out what's going on with physics.
You know, the one pitch that I would think about would be like one of those frisbee sliders from Steve Cishek that starts down low and sort of spins up and out.
Possibly, yes.
Even the rising fastball is somewhat of an illusion. It's not really rising, but it's not dipping at the same rate as a garden variety fastball.
Right.
Where'd that term come from? Garden variety. Is that a farming term?
It's got to be. It's got to be just, you know, the old normal everyday garden variety. You know, basically I would guess, because if you're selling vegetables, you can't sell all that weird, unique stuff. You just got to sell the stuff that everybody likes. You know? That
one is fouled off. See, that's the one thing about email nights and Twitter nights. They're fun, but they have a tendency to rub off on the play-by-play announcer veers from here's the 2-2 to vegetable talk. 3-2 coming. Into the seats and out of play. Perez getting the start. Switch hitter. Twitter Tuesday driven by Ford. Fox Marlins at Gmail is the old-fashioned way, at Fox Marlins on Twitter and Instagram. 3-2. That's trouble if it's fair. Stanton looking into the corner, and it's foul.
Rich, I think we could pull off a radio show like Tomato Talk.
No. Although one of the great, I don't know if it's on the internet, but one of the great bloopers, adult variety, is Earl Weaver talking about on a fake pregame show his tomato plants at Old Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Lined in the left field, that's a base hit. And Perez has got a single. And so Wickren has given up a walk and a single, has a strikeout. And here is Braun now with runners first and second and one out. It's a birthday in the Clevelander. I think more camera 12 would be appropriate tonight. Breaking ball misses. 1 ball and 1 strike. Braun has walked twice, struck out, has an RBI hit. I do think that was a adult's birthday out there in the Clevelander. Wickren with a nice breaking ball. I'm with you, Press. I'd like to do a game out there. Maybe we could get a cake just like that.
I'd like to see what the view is out there, just to see what the fan experience is now that the fence is lower.
It's a nice view.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, you can see right into the field. The fence used to be up at, what, about 11, 12 feet? It was 12 feet. And while you could see the field, you had to look right in. That's what, see how high the scoreboard is there, the fence is and the scoreboard? That's how high that fence was around the bend in front of the Clevelander and in front of the bullpen. Braun swings and misses.
Good high fastball. Top of the zone. Gets a good fastball hitter to swing through it. Two-seamed it a little bit. Not much movement, but just enough. Very top of the strike zone. Your man can now say he struck out Ryan Braun.
Our friend Mr. Dimples has a second question. Which Marlins player has been on the team the longest? Longest tenured Marlin?
That's a good question.
I think Stanton.
It's got to be Stanton or Dunn.
No, because Dunn came in the Uggla trade, right?
Okay.
And Stanton was here with Uggla.
Okay, that's true. Yes. I think it might be Stanton. You got it. That's a great call.
Liner center. Ozuna charges in and has it on the run. And so Wickren leaves a couple on base, gets through the 7th. Nice job by Nick. 8-2 Milwaukee. Presenting sponsor of Miami Marlins baseball. On an email in Twitter Tuesday, this one turned to the dark side as far as the Marlins were concerned in the fourth when things went awry for Adam Conley and his defense. And the Brewers got 3 runs and erased a 2-1 lead, and Milwaukee hasn't looked back since. Blaine Boyer's out there for his 2nd inning. Marlin bats have been quiet, save Marcell Ozuna, who has 2 hits, including an RBI single and a double. Christian Yelich a double, JT Realmuto an RBI double. Martin Prado has a hit, and that's about it offensively. Conley did not look sharp, nor did Jose Urena, who followed him. Adam would go 4 innings, give up the 4 runs, walked 2, and struck out 4. The Marlins have walked 6 on the night. Miguel Rojas, who came in the double switch, gets the at-bat, and he takes a strike in the bottom of the 7th. Rojas, a little soft liner that drops in for a hit. And so he's aboard to open up the 7th inning. Wei-Yin Chen gets the baseball tomorrow, faces the Brewers. Chase Anderson for Milwaukee. Marlins Live starts at 6:30. Rocket Arms, percentage of swings and misses from Marlins starters. You would think Jose's name would be up there, and Conley's. Chen, a guy more dependent on bad contact, as is Nicolino. Remember, the Marlins play 4 times in Washington, D.C. this weekend. A day-night doubleheader on Saturday. Which is always a long day at the ballpark. But it should be a fun day. The Nationals obviously very good. They had a walk-off win last night. Detroit leads the Nationals 5-3 in the bottom of the 7th tonight. Dodgers and Mets later on tonight. Mets won again last night and are 20-11. Look out. Toyota brings you the inside look, brought to you by the Toyota RAV4. Leadoff hitters, batting average since Dee Gordon was suspended. Well, the batting average is good, and that would obviously tell you that the on-base percentage is pretty good. I'd be curious to see what the on-base is, because I'll bet you it's pretty darn high. And that's since the suspension of Dee Gordon. Dietrich, who has been kind of the main guy in the leadoff spot. JT Realmuto and Ichiro have filled that role. Dietrich has not been on base tonight, though. He's lined out, popped out twice.
Another guy I think could hit leadoff for them if they had to is Cole Gillespie. I think he could fill that role.
Dietrich on the season on base at over a 400 clip. Ichiro's on base is 391. Realmuto's on base is right around 315. Two and 2 to Dietrich. Miami has work to do, but they've got 3 innings to do it in. They're down 6 here. And a liner into right. That's a hit. A little station-to-station baseball. Rojas stops at second. Dietrich checks in at first. And you've got Prado, Yelich, Stanton, Bohr lined up against Boyer. Tomorrow is Wednesday. That means the Chevron Crazy 8 promotion is in play. Fill up your car with Chevron with Techron gasoline. Bring your receipt to the Marlins Park ticket office and choose between 2 Lexus Legends level tickets or 1 home plate box ticket for just $28. Visit your local Chevron dealer today. Prado's 1 for 3. See that at 394. And about a 450 clip his last 15 games. Prado flips it up, fouling out of play, along with some frivolous questions, like Tyson's, who wants to know what kind of socks Jeff Conine is wearing. We have a lot of emails with people that probably didn't hear, or maybe didn't hear past the 80-game suspension, wanting to know why Dee Gordon is not playoff eligible. That's the penalty. Players Association and Major League Baseball increasing the penalties over the last few years for a PED suspension, and that one fouled back and out of play. And so the first time length was moved to 80 games, and postseason was added. There were some players in the last few years that were suspended and then got off suspension late September and jumped right into the postseason. And that did not seem quite right. And so, yes, Dee Gordon is suspended for the postseason as well. High chopper is foul. There's also a shout out from Fish at Bat to follow Jeff Conine on Twitter. JIC Niner, the number 9 ER. JIC, the number 9 ER. He's up to 1,200. How about that?
It's amazing.
He'll be passing me soon. Jonathan Lucroy out to talk to Blaine Boyer. It's 0-2 to Martin Prado. This one has gotten away from the Fish to the score of 8-2. An opportunity here to chip away. Questions have a tendency to go sideways when it's 8-2. Christopher says, with the score 8-2, I felt it was the right time to ask, what would Stanton's wrestling name be?
I don't know. That's pretty good, though. That'll be a pretty good one to think over and try to come up with some good ones.
Prado fouls it off. Chapin notes, Preston, since you're now a hockey aficionado, if they do play one of the Winter Classic games here, and if you missed it, Claude Delorme said they can crank the AC with the roof closed and the windows closed down to the low 60s, which is low enough to get the ice in here and play a NHL game. But Chapin suggests you watch the hockey game from the Clevelander pool.
Wow. Depending on where they have the rink situated, it'd be nice if you could actually see it, watch a hockey game while you're in the pool. That'd be a pretty good one.
Quite honestly, I wouldn't care. I'd just like to hang out by the Clevelander pool in a big event.
Yeah.
I'd watch the game on one of the flat screens out there. Looks like the rally has already started out in Cleveland. Prado, good at bat here. He's run the count to 2-2. And he's fighting off pitch after pitch. Prado, throughout his career, tough guy to strike out, tough guy to walk. Gotta take a lot of walks. He's always been in that list of hardest to fan. This year, Prado, 6 walks, 9 strikeouts. It's quite the at-bat.
9 pitches, fouled off a bunch, laid off some tough ones.
Well, it's a 6-run lead, but the Marlins have guys coming up who, with one swing, could take an enormous bite out of that 6-run lead. 3-2 finally. And Prado hits in the air to center, not too deep. Flores is there, and he makes the catch. So an out, and here comes Yelich. Liz says Stanton's wrestler name would be the Face Mask. Jeff Conine just tweeted a picture of his socks.
He's been on Twitter for 5 days, and he already knows how to send out tweets of it. That's incredible. That's why guys like Niner, they just excel at everything, you know.
Guys, I threw out that question on Twitter to get some suggestions from Marlins fans, and we have a few good ones. The Lumber Liquidator, and I like this one, the Great Slambino. If we've got Justin Bour as the Great Borbino, then how about Giancarlo Stanton as the Great Slambino?
I like that.
I like that one too.
No, we go with the Lumber Liquidator. I think that's pretty good.
I'll keep an eye out. I'll keep you updated.
All right. Stan, of course, a big fan of The Rock, and somewhat resembles him, some feel. Yelich has doubled, walked, and bounced out. And the Lumber Liquidator is on deck. There's a strike. Saw that shot of Jeff Conine, who is Tutti Frutti's favorite Marlin. Looking at his phone, deciding which pair of socks he should tweet next.
He's got like a sock encyclopedia that he just rolls through, tries to figure out, okay, well, this will be for May 12th. These are May 13th socks. Yeah.
Yelich did not like that last call. It's 0-2. Busted bat, and it ends up in the glove of the shortstop, and doubled off second is Rojas. A flare to center. Villar made the catch, and for whatever reason, Rojas got too far off. It has been a long night for Miami tonight. Follow Marlins Baseball live with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment with Game Day Live. Video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. Well, the ending of that bottom of the 7th, kind of emblematic of how things have gone for the Marlins in the field, on the bases, at the plate. Miguel Rojas doubled off at second, which prompted Cliff to tweet, "Rich, can you make Preston rant?"
You know what? I am who I am. That's somebody else. No, you talk about the game, in my opinion, this is how I do it. I don't go on rants. I just say if something needs to be done a little better, if something's being done well, that's what I do.
Well, and you've pointed out a variety of times tonight the Marlins have failed to cover the proper base, have not executed defensively, made the plays that they should have. A base running mistake there.
Oh, and Miguel Rojas, he's got to know that his run means absolutely nothing right there. That's just, even if you can score on that ball and you hold up, nobody's going to be mad at you. You just can't get picked off. Because it basically turns a 6-run game into a 5-run game, which is nothing. So why even take the chance of getting that far off?
See, that's not bad. That's a pretty good start.
That's all I got, though. That's
a pretty good start. I think Cliff would applaud the effort. I'll tell you what, a couple of times Chris Carter has hit pop-ups here that if the roof were closed, I think he would have hit one of the girders from the section that would hang if the roof were closed. Just saying. Because he's come close. Carter goes down. Nick Wittgren has come in for the Marlins. Kind of restored a little order here. Wittgren into his 2nd inning of relief. And he gets Aaron Hill. Aaron Hill 3 for 3 and hit by a pitch. Pulls a grounder to short. Rojas gets it, and wow, that was close. Hill got down the line quickly, but he's out by less than a step. We were talking about nicknames for Giancarlo Stanton. Terminal Velocity, Dr. Dinger, and from South Florida Marlins, the Miami Pound Machine. I kind of like that. I like that and Lumber Liquidator. Don Mattingly going to make a pitching change and make a double switch as well. Craig Breslow's coming in. A couple outs for Nick Wittgren. Alex Presley coming up. Breslow enters. Here's a Kendall Toyota call to the pen. Tomorrow, Wei-Yin Chen, Chase Anderson, that finishes the series. Marlins obviously would like to get off to a better start in that one as compared to this one. Craig Breslow is in. Milwaukee is up 8-2 in the 8th inning. Double switch to get Breslow in. Chris Johnson arrives. Martin Prado is out. And the pitcher's, I believe, going to be in Prado's spot, and Johnson will be in the 8th position. Alex Presley, who has a couple of hits. You have not read a tweet or an email all night, and I know that it's something you haven't done in the past, but I think now it's appropriate in an 8-2 game in the 8th inning, now that you've polished off 2 grilled cheese sandwiches. That one smacked to Dietrich, knocks it down, and out at first base. And when we get back, Preston Wilson will read his very first tweets. 8-2 Milwaukee. Down 8-2. Domingo Santana, not related to one of our favorites, Domingo Ayala. We ought to get Domingo Ayala on a Twitter Tuesday night.
It would be absolutely amazing to have him here and to have him describe some of his videos.
We'll put that on the list. We'll put that in the queue, like it's Netflix or something.
Yeah.
Here's Chris Capuano. Capuano, veteran lefty. Marlins saw him up in Milwaukee. And here is Stanton. And Giancarlo faces Capuano. Justin Bour, Marcell Ozuna to follow. Stanton tonight has walked twice and bounced back to the mound. Off-speed pitch, flip foul and out of play. So best wrestling nicknames on an email and Twitter Tuesday for Stanton. The Lumber Liquidator. Swing and a miss at that fastball. The Miami Pound Machine. G Money, because of his contract. There's Bohr now, with one out in the bottom of the 8th. Now, you've got something to read? I thought we had you all queued up.
Yeah.
Bohr into the teeth of the shift, and Preston will now read his first tweet.
See, I actually came up with one, and you know, I tried to keep it simple, but how about G's wrestling nickname, Mr. Right? Because he throws right-handed, he hits right-handed, he plays right field. I like that, nice and simple. You know, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, just Mr. Right.
I like it. I'll go there. I would put it behind Miami Pound Machine and behind Lumber Liquidator, though. You should give out some sort of prize for the originality and the best nickname, or the tweet of the night. We used to have the angry email of the night. Let's find the angry email of the night. Christopher says, "Nightmare on G Street." Matt wants to know, drove over from Fort Myers, first trip to new ballpark on Sunday. Any other factors other than weather that dictate roof open or closed? Well, as far as weather goes, it's two things. It's rain, possibility of rain, because if there's rain possible, as the Marlins found on opening day last year, even if it's a rogue cell of clouds, it can take a while to close that roof if something just appears. And then heat and humidity. If it's going to be really hot and humid and it would make you uncomfortable to sit in the sun, like some of the blazing hot days that the Marlins endured in the old football stadium. Matt, those are the factors for closing the roof. Ozuna has had a really nice night tonight, and to see him in a game like this still grinding it out, bang a hit to right field, 3 hits for Ozuna. Here is a really good angry tweet. Remember, Preston sent a shout out to the couple that was, I think it was Laura and Roger.
Yes.
And they were celebrating what, anniversary number 35?
35 yesterday, yes.
And I said, you know, if they're celebrating their anniversary and they're watching it and it's 8-2, then there's issues there. And you reassured me their anniversary was last night, and this is from
Roger.
From Roger. How dare he think Laura and I were not watching tonight? Hashtag squirrely thing, which I guess is an expletive. That
I think that's just anger. That's the anger.
I think that's a word you don't want to say on television. That's what I think. So Ozuna has a hit. Real Muto has an RBI double. He's 1 for 3. Matt from Fort Myers answered, "Thanks for the note. I'll be back for sure." It's actually not that far a drive. You come over from Naples or Fort Myers, come over Alligator Alley, cut down into Miami. You obviously know the game's going to be played on time and get a chance if you, I mean, the cool thing is if you come in on a Friday, see a Friday night game, spend the night, hang out South Beach, Brickell, down in Miami, and then come back on a Saturday night and catch a game. You can just for spend a night or a couple nights over the weekend
And if you got kids, usually what, Friday or Saturday is usually fireworks during the summer.
Fireworks on Friday. It's a kids' Sunday. You can. The South Beach Slammer, G-Force, those are also Stanton wrestling nicknames. Miami Vice.
Bobby Biceps.
Real Muto out to center. Flores makes the catch and the Marlins leave a runner. To the 9th. The South Beach Slammer. 8-2 Milwaukee. Coors Banquet, timeless moments. He was a Miami Masher before he was a Milwaukee Brewer. University of Miami Masher. Brian Braun, his 252nd home run to pass Robin Yount, become the Brewers' home run king. We saw some Coors at Miller Park. I believe Miller owns Coors now. So at Miller Park, they were drinking Miller, Miller Lite, and Coors. Domingo Santana came in the double switch. Leads it off in the 9th. Johnny from the Tri-Cities in Washington. Appropriate on an Adam Conley start. I believe Conley spent some time growing up in the Tri-Cities. Richland, Pasco, Kennewick. Anyways, Johnny's question is Preston. I grew up in Wisconsin as a Brewers fan, now a converted Marlins fan. Christian Yelich reminds me a great deal of Robin Yount. Obviously hitting from the other side of the plate, but a guy that covered ground in center field. Any chance the crack staff has footage of his diving catch to seal Juan Nieves no-hitter? The only no-hitter thrown in Milwaukee Brewers history. Huh. Well, we will send an official ask down to the crack staff, and if they've got it, we'll see it. Craig Breslow's 3-1 is high. Domingo Santana. Johnny from the Tri-Cities, it's your night. Here you go, that's Juan Nieves. And that's Robin Yount.
Hall of Famer Eddie Murray hit that ball as well.
And that, my friends, and the Brewers have been around since 1970. That's the only no-hitter in Milwaukee Brewers history, and there's Yelich in left.
That was Old County Stadium, right?
It was, and the guy who was jumping around with Nieves on the mound is here tonight. He's actually sitting in the Milwaukee Brewers television booth. Bill Schroeder, fine catcher.
I played in that ballpark in County Stadium. They needed a new ballpark by the time I got there. I'll never forget County Stadium. That was where, oh, there's Bill Schroeder right there. Great announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers. He does a great job. A lot of fun to talk to.
Also a noted author as well. Has a nice book out. Amazon.com on the Milwaukee Brewers. You can find it at Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. Center field, that's pretty well hit. Ozuna getting back, squaring up, making the catch. And a long out off the bat of Kirk Neuenhuis.
My lasting memory of County Stadium, that's the game where there was a fly ball hit and Luis Castillo took off. And the ball was caught and he had to go back from coming from first, went around at second and went to third. Well, he had to go all the way back to first base because he was running on the pitch. And instead of going back to second and touching second, he went right across the pitcher's mound from halfway between second and third to first base.
Louis did that?
Yes. And I guess it's apropos of the game tonight to mention that, because this has been a night of snafus and oopsie daisies and I'm sorries and my bads. So that was definitely one of those. To see a guy steal a base, round second, realize the ball's caught, and they're like, go back, go back, go back. And instead of him retracing the base path, he just cut right across the mound, literally across the mound to get back to first base.
That is funny. And there was a question early in the night, and I let it pass, and I didn't get it out, and I apologize for that. And I apologize that I don't have your name, but it essentially asked, after watching what we watched last night, have you ever seen anything crazier on a field in a game? And that story, unprompted, to me qualifies. I'll tell you, one of the wildest plays I've seen is I'm trying to think where it happened. Buck Martinez, the fine broadcaster with the Toronto Blue Jays, was a major league catcher and a really good one. There was a play in which he broke his leg and tagged in a play at the plate, broke his leg, tagged a runner out, had to throw the ball to third and then catch the ball and tag another runner out, all with a broken leg.
Wow.
And I did not see that in person. I saw it on television, but
that's remarkable. Good mercy.
You know, the Henderson Alvarez no-hitter, where he got the no-hitter standing on deck, is as odd as you'll find it.
Yeah.
And of course, if you you weren't with us on the last day of 2013, Alvarez did not give up a hit, but the Marlins didn't have a run, and they got it with him on deck in the bottom of the ninth on a wild pitch to Greg Dobbs, I believe, and Giancarlo scored. So those are two odd plays that you don't see every day. Marlins Live, we will turn this over to Craig and Jeff. They will breathe new life into the telecast. It's brought to you by Checkers. Special party guest will be Wei-Yin Chen, although no party in the clubhouse tonight, or so it seems. Miami down 6. Hernan Perez has been on base 4 times tonight. A couple walks, couple hits. We have a lot of action from the Northwest tonight. Alec from Olympia, Washington. That's actually listed as the hometown for Adam Conley. I watch on MLB.TV every Marlins game. Moved to Seattle for the Army and can't get enough of Marlins television. When was the last time the Marlins played the Mariners? I would love to go to a game. That would be 2 years ago, right? 2014 in this ballpark. I think Miami actually swept Seattle in a 3-game series. That's one for our baseball historian, John Chimchuk, who's earning his money tonight. Three and one. Ryan Braun's on deck. There's 2 outs in the 9th. And he walks him. Brad wants to know for you, Preston, as a Marlin, aside from Luis Castillo running back across the pitcher's mound to get back to first, most memorable moment as a Marlin.
Wow. Maybe A.J. Burnett's no-hitter in San Diego. That was pretty big to play, be on the field when A.J. Burnett threw the no-hitter. That might be the number one from my time there.
Peter from Weston has a feeling that the Marlins, well, the Marlins will probably play Seattle next year, and in theory, and this is speculation from us and maybe from Peter, who follows the Marlins quite closely, the Marlins will be in Seattle for a series next year. I know a few good places to eat up there.
That'd be a trip I'd like to make. I hope I'm on the broadcast team for that trip.
Have you not been to?
Have not.
Ichiro, of course, a longtime Mariner. Had a chance to see former Seattle general manager, now a Major League scout for the ball club. Woody Woodward, who is a legend, was inducted into, I believe, the Miami Sports Hall of Fame this offseason. Great high school player down in Coral Gables and a longtime major leaguer, infielder. Two and two to Braun. The Brewers have scored 8 runs, and Braun has just 1 hit, but he drove in a run in the first. Sends that one in the gap left center field, and Ryan Braun, with runners in scoring position, is one of the best hitters on the planet.
And when he gets fastballs up in the zone, he's even better. He loves the fastball, and look at that thing belt high. We talked about him earlier. Likes that fastball up, and that's no different. Doesn't get all of it, but it's a great swing, and he drives it in the gap. Picks himself up another RBI. Just such good hands. See how those hands stay so nice and tight to his body? That ball was working in, and because his hands stayed so tight, he was able to do something with it.
Ball gets by Real Muto, and a run crosses. Perez comes across a wild pitch to score a run, and that kind of adds to what has been a ugly night for Miami.
Just a tough pitch, can't handle that.
Here's a 1-1. Lucroy in the air. And Stanton makes the catch. Brewers add 2 more with a little help from the Fish and an RBI hit from Ryan Braun. 10-2. Sports Florida brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. The all-new 2017 Chrysler Pacifica. How about your South Florida Honda dealers? Well, this one got away from the fish in the 4th, 5th, and 6th innings. Chris Johnson gets an at-bat against Chris Capuano. He fouls that pitch back and out of play. Johnson, Miguel Rojas, Derek Dietrich for Miami in the 9th in a 10-2 game. Thanks for all the emails and tweets, kids. Sorry if we did not get to your favorite. Anthony noting that this game could use a good dose of the Exmo Squirrel on the 10-run reel. Yeah, it kind of feels that way, but it's 10-run reel is only if it's 10 up or 10 down, not just 10 runs. So the Brewers would have needed 2 more. And then you would have gotten a little taste of Exmo Squirrel. Camera 12. General hijinks. I'll tell you one bit, if you are a 10-run reel aficionado, and when we have that on, it's amazing to people that they start calling out requests. We have added some of the greatest bat flips in baseball history, and not just Major League Baseball, but also over in Japan, Korea, Little League bat flips.
Little League bat flips.
Domingo Ayala bat flips.
Little League bat flips?
Little League bat flips, man. I'm telling you. And Little League bat flips are the best.
I don't think I even knew what a bat flip was in Little League. Well, you know what? I digress. I never even played Little League, Rich. I should say the Little League years.
That's strike 3 called. This is a desperately needed segment of the show.
I will. It's just going through it for one time. I got to get the glasses on. Join us today. Holy smokes, you guys are killer. That one's Brudski. Tongue twister on that one. It's kids.
He's so frat boy great, isn't he?
At 7:10.
That was Ichiro.
Ichiro, edit that. Woo!
Derek Dietrich, something to smile about. Brought to you by Cricket Wireless. He did our promos last night, handled them flawlessly, had 3 hits. Miami got a win.
If they ever make another The Neighbors movie, with that movie with Zac Efron, where he's the frat boy.
Dietrich could be the body double, the stand-in.
Yeah, The Neighbors. Yeah, he would definitely be
one of the frat boys.
One of the frat boys. Yeah, yeah. We got to get him a cameo or something in there, because he is frat boy to the max.
We had also asked tonight about a wrestling nickname for Giancarlo Stanton. This one is very creative. It's from P. Washington. Giancarlo DeGeorge.
Giancarlo DeGeorge. Wow.
That, of course, our Craig Minervini was a highly decorated wrestling announcer.
Yes.
And he went by that last name. So you combine 2 Marlin legends.
Took my name. That's my mother's maiden name.
Oh, is it really? Is that how you took it?
That. Yes.
Very nice.
Had 15 minutes to come up with a new name.
All right, which, Craig? 15 minutes, huh?
That's true.
All right, which of the Stanton nicknames did you like?
Oh, boy, review a couple. I heard about 4 or 5 good ones tonight.
Top of my list. Hi, Niner. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I like the Miami Pound Machine and the Lumber Liquidator. I like those 2.
Since you're in the business, I mean, come on, you can come up with something.
Lumber Liquidator is pretty good. Well, I have to think about it. I haven't been. Lumber Liquidator is pretty good. You had a couple more, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I need to,
I don't know if you got it fresh there, but let me think about this.
The South Beach Slammer.
That's not bad.
Miami Vice. The Panorama City Pounder is a good one because that has his hometown in it.
Yeah. South Beach Slammer is not bad.
Not bad.
We had Mike Stanton. He's already used that one.
Mike Stanton.
That's the.
Wait, that's it?
That's it. And of course, his name's always been Giancarlo, but he got tired of kids mispronouncing it in grade school.
I got to go with Giancarlo DeGeorge.
Of course you would.
Homage to my
Of course you did.
Craig, what do you think of my simple yet throwback Mr. Right? Because he hits right-handed, throws right-handed, plays right field, you know. And, I'm sure a lot of people feel like he's Mr. Right, you know.
We had Mr. Perfect. Why not Mr. Right?
We had Mr. Wonderful, Paul Arndorff.
Mr. Wonderful was very good.
Terminal velocity is another one. Dietrich pulls that one foul. Dr. Dinger. G-Force, the Destroyer, the Crusher.
The Crusher.
Diamond Crusher.
That's a great Bugs Bunny.
G-Force, that's pretty good. We used to have a tag team called Strike Force. That was Tito Santana and Rick Martel.
Craig, did you ever get injured in any of those bouts?
Ah, boy, I got elbowed once by Andre the Giant, and that was it was not planned, and it got me right in the gut.
All right, just like all Marlin fans watching this one.
Yes.
They felt it in the gut. It's one of those games that for the Fish you hope is just a bump in the road. As the Brewers even up the series with a 10-2 win, 12 hits for Milwaukee. They left 12 on base. Marlins 2 runs, 8 hits. And the win to Zach Davies, same field in which he got his first major league win. Adam Conley's record now at even 500 at 2-2. So Milwaukee wins it, and the series will be decided tomorrow night. Marlins Live postgame around the bench. Crush it.